Hey guys, Youngblood with you for a Should You Buy video on the newly released Dragonfly, which is available for sale now through June 27th. There's several different buying options for this ship, including your choice of yellow or black, each of which is going to cost you $35, or one of each for $65, which ends up being a $5 savings overall. It is worth pointing out, though, that the yellow is supposed to be a very limited release being sold only now, and is going to be really hard to achieve or find once you're actually in the persistent universe. There's also an option to pick up 2 Dragonflies along with a Caterpillar for $300, and all of these are going to come with LTI along with some hangar goodies. Now, the Dragonfly is the first open canopy ship that we end up seeing in the game, and its closest competition so far is the snub category, like the Merlin and the Archimedes. The Dragonfly is actually considered to be ultralight and is lighter than both in some form or fashion, even though the weight doesn't really say that on the stats page right now, but the description calls it meaner. So with this falling into the category, the Dragonfly is not going to include a jump drive or a quantum drive, which is going to mean that you're going to really, for it to really go any real distance, it's going to require a ride on another ship. And because of that fact, I want to go ahead and do a who should not buy this ship mention here. So if you're looking for this to be either your only ship, this isn't going to be a good reason for you for 2 options. The first of which is the obvious. You can't really go anywhere. So if you're entirely dependent on other people to give you a ride, you're kind of limited in your overall gameplay. And the other is the more restrictive reason, and that's that these ships aren't being sold as a package, so you're not going to be able to load up the game. So with those out of the way, I guess let's get back to the ship and start working towards who should buy this ship. The Dragonfly is about half the length and about a third of the width of the Merlin, so it does have a very small cross-section. The ship is designed to be able to utilize that size to zip around areas that no one else should really consider even getting into. And it comes with 3 adaptable configurations, which is going to be ground, which has the front grav leg extended out forward to end up giving you a smooth ride on a planet's surface, space or 0G mode to spread everything out to give you the most maneuverability possible, and compact, which is going to kind of tuck everything into the hull and be the smallest formation possible to be able to fit into like a corner of your hangar or even into smaller ships. And we all know that this is going to be able to fit in the Caterpillar. And they mentioned that 3 in the release note. So, I would say it's safe to bet that at least 3 of these can end up fitting into the Caterpillar. But based on the most recent information from around the verse, or reverse the verse, they mentioned that the Dragonfly is actually going to be able to fit in a Freelancer. So that's pretty exciting news. And in fact, the only 2 ships that have been mentioned for sure not able to fit the Dragonfly would be the Avenger and the Reliant. Now keep in mind, they're talking about ships with cargo and ramps, so obviously you're not going to be fitting this into a Hornet, but they are considering if you'll be able to fit it into a storage box for something like an Aurora. Now the ship is built with speed, acceleration, and maneuverability in mind. And speaking of the way it handles, it really can fly in space or be used on the planet side, but when you're on the ground, the ship isn't capable of flying off into the air like a normal standalone ship. It's actually just going to be hovering above the ground like a speeder bike from Star Wars. Also, if you're in space on this ship, you're going to need to catch a ride down to the planet's surface, and that's for 2 reasons, with the first being that you'd burn up in atmosphere since it's open canopy, but the second would be that the ship isn't capable of atmospheric flight, so once you actually broke a certain point, you would end up free-falling to your death. Now, the Dragonfly has 6 size 1 maneuvering thrusters, 1 size 1 engine, and size 1 power plant and shield. There have been some mentions that the component class on like the shields is actually closer to a tool than a ship, so that size 1 may end up being weaker than you think it would be. It does come with the ability to fit about 1 SCU of cargo in the box, which makes it a nice option for flying around and finding something interesting in wreckage and bringing it back to your parent ship. Also, with 2 size 1 weapons, you get the option to defend, attack, or more likely just be a pest to kind of deter other ships from really attacking your home ship. In addition to that weaponry, the Dragonfly also has seating for 2, meaning that your passenger can seat backwards and fire off additional rounds at potential pursuers, and with weapons that we've seen being developed like shoulder-mounted rail guns, that could be a hell of a lot of fun. But when I look at the Dragonfly and I ask who should buy this ship, I have to say I think there's a ton of roles that would find having this ship on board very useful. And at only $35 with LTI, the risk is pretty limited overall. First off, for those of you with larger ships or Caterpillars they kind of have that unmet need for a pocket carrier. CIG has said that you can fit a decent amount of these per module on a Cat, so unleashing a Dragonfly swarm sounds like a pretty cool option. For those of you that are explorers, you could get a lot of versatility out of having a Dragonfly. So maybe instead of bringing one rover along in your carrack, instead you're bringing 2 to 3 Dragonflies, which are capable of not only working in space, but also on the ground, and giving you the option to cover more ground because you can go out in 3 different directions instead of the 1 from the rover. Now for search and rescue teams, you get a runner capable of helping you to cover more ground or lay down suppressing fire while you end up rescuing your allies. For those of you that have reclaimers, having the ability to have a small ship to scout out dangerous debris fields while you don't have to risk bringing in that lumbering hulk looking for really good salvage is a nice thing to bring along. Those of you out there that are interested in racing should be excited because the brochure even mentions that there's going to be the first open canopy racing league. Those pirates amongst you could possibly use these equipped with sucker punches to disable targets and quickly get into boarding positions. Basically, everything about this ship lends itself to a ton of different roles, and I actually can't tell you how excited about this ship, the way the ship turned out that I am, because it really is just flat out awesome. So overall, should you buy the Drake Dragonfly? Well, if you weren't in the group that I mentioned earlier in the video and you're comfortable spending the $35, then yes. Otherwise, earning it in the game should be a goal for everyone because it should be really fast to earn, and I think the value you get in return is really big. Now, one last note about this ship would be that they're already pretty far along in developing this ship, and it's already being worked on into the engine at some level. So we shouldn't have to wait very long to see this ship in action. So if you guys have questions or differing opinions, please get them in the comments. Otherwise, I appreciate you guys all watching. I hope this helped. Stay tuned for more content, and I'll catch you guys later. Take care.